broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing after shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Thank you for tuning in to Breaking Into Reality. I'm Sheila Conlin, your host, and this is Tim Ferretti, my co-host. And we have a special guest today, Dr. Jenn Mann. But before we get into talking to Dr. Jenn, I want to tell you a little bit about Breaking Into Reality. Each week on Breaking Into Reality, our special guests get to share their Breaking Into Reality success stories, how they did it, and how reality TV has changed their lives. We also inform you about casting opportunities nationwide, and I get the distinct pleasure to give you my expert advice and tips on if you're the next reality TV star, if reality TV is right for you, or if reality TV is right for your brand. So I am, again, Sheila Conlin, casting director, producer of some of the longest running shows on reality TV and some of the shortest, but I love those too. Yes, you got to have a combination of both, right? So again, Dr. Jenn Mann is the host of and executive producer of VH1's Couples Therapy. So we're so excited to have her here. Yay! And Dr. Jenn will tell us her story in a few minutes. But right now, we go to Tim Ferretti, who will give us our casting traffic report. Tim, what do you got for us?
Hello, I'm Tim Ferretti. I'm here with your casting traffic report. And yes, as Sheila always says, in order to be on reality TV, you probably have to audition. So each week I keep you up to speed on open call dates that are happening, shows that are looking for more for people to compete, follow, and be stars of the show. So to all of our aspiring junior chefs out there willing to put themselves under the scrutiny of Gordon Ramsay himself, our good friends over at MasterChef Junior are casting, and they have some open call dates they'd like to invite you to. Saturday, November 14th in Houston, Saturday, November 14th in Boston, Saturday, December 5th in Chicago, Saturday, December 5th in Los Angeles, and Saturday, December 12th in New York City, and finally Saturday, December 12th in Atlanta. So you can go to MasterChefJuniorCasting.com to learn more how you can participate, sign up, any forms you have to fill out before those dates, and they will have all the information there, MasterChefJuniorCasting.com. NBC juggernaut The Voice just announced a new 2016 open call date auditions and locations. They are Houston, Texas. Come out on January 9th to audition. In Memphis, Tennessee, January 23rd. Chicago, February 6th and 7th. And my hometown, Philly, PA, February 20th and 21st.
Yay, Philly.
I know there's some good singers out there. It's a music city. So, and to all of our Food Network fans, some of your favorite shows are currently casting. Food Network Star Season 12, Chopped Junior, Guys Grocery Games, All-Star Academy Season 2, Cake Wars, Spring Baking Championship. So you can go to foodnetwork.com, find their casting tab, and it'll have all the information about how you can apply to any of those shows. And then finally, also from Food Network, Cutthroat Kitchen has just opened its casting. Alton Brown and Embassy Row team up for another season of the Food Network Cooking Competition Series, where you can win a cash prize of $25,000. So go to cutthroatkitchencasting.com to apply. And I am Tim Ferretti, and that is your casting traffic report.
Thank you, Tim Ferretti. And don't forget to always check out theconlincompany.com and breakingintoreality.com. We have quite a few opportunities coming up soon.
Always.
Within the next 2-3 weeks. So don't forget to check that out. Thanks, Tim.
You're welcome.
And so now let's go back to Dr. Jenn Mann. Long list of accomplishments. Author, entrepreneur, host, executive producer, sports psychologist, and you have your own radio show.
And my own private practice.
And your own that's right.
Yeah.
And the private practice.
Yeah.
Okay, first of all, welcome.
Thank you.
And then we get into, I mean, you and I go way back.
Way, way back.
You know, and
Over a decade. I think it's like 15 years at
wow,
least.
I can't even believe that. Yeah,
Something like that.
Tell us how.
that's right. Well, before reality. Yeah, BR, before reality. But yeah, I mean, I was casting for shows.
Yeah, you cast me in the second series I ever did, which was Family Forensics for A&E.
Oh my God. That was with, oh my God, Jerry McKean,
Yes.
Michael Shevloff.
Yes.
There was one other one too, right? No, I don't remember, but
Yeah.
I thought there was 3 producers, maybe only 2.
I'm trying. Yeah, I remember those two. Yeah.
But that was a bold show for back then.
It was way ahead of its time, and it really kind of, it was in the height of CSI, and I'm sure you remember, but what the premise was is that it was me, a private detective, Scott, an FBI investigator, Heather Dubrov,
Yep.
and a computer hacker, and and I'm blanking on his name. I can see his face now.
Shoot, I should remember too, yeah.
No, and so what they did was they had us go into, people left their house for 48 hours. They brought us into the house. We never met them. They showed us pictures of each family member, their first names, and then they said, go into their house and profile this family. We had 48 hours to go through everything. We had access to absolutely everything. Computers, diaries, closets, like drawers, absolutely everything. And then at the end of it, I had to profile each family, and then I would sit down with them and tell them what their issues were and do family therapy with them.
Oh my goodness.
It was intense. It was really intense. Like the first house we went in, we found out that one of the sons had been molested, that he was suicidal. There was a gun in the house. I found naked pictures of the parents together. The other son was secretly about to get married to a woman he met online, and the parents didn't know. I mean, it was
we found amazing stuff.
the stuff that came out on the show. And the cool thing is that show, we did amazing work. And then probably about 10 years later, I had a radio show on Star 98.7 called On the Couch. And I got a call from the mom who said, when I heard your voice on the radio, I was so thrilled and so excited. I had to call you to tell you your show saved my son's life. We are forever indebted to you.
Oh my
He got into therapy because of you after the show. It was an amazing experience. And I mean, it meant the world to me.
Well, that's what makes it worthwhile.
Yeah.
And it was, I mean, you guys had a hard task ahead of you.
We did.
But you guys jumped in. That was the one thing.
And it was intense work, and it was also physically difficult because I don't know if you remember, but it was August. And as you know from doing TV, you have to turn off all the air conditioning because the sounds bother the sound guys and they won't pick up on what you're saying. And then you have hot lights on you. So it was about 110 degrees. And we would work for, 18 hours a day going through people's drawers and their computers. And it was intense. It was really intense.
I know. I mean, those families, thank you for participating. I think we sent them to Disneyland for a week or something, right?
Yeah, I think so.
But then they came back to Nightmare.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God. So yeah, we go way back. And I just remember Dr. Jenn, I wanted her, anytime I got hired to find a host for a show or a team or whatever, it was like, she has to be on it because you're the most charismatic. You know your stuff. I mean, obviously when an expert, you want them to be the best at what they do. You're passionate, you cared, and you're in it. I mean, it's important. Some people just want to do TV because they just want to be famous, they just want to be on. But I love where your drive comes from. So
thank you.
That started then, but where did this really begin for you? Why a therapist, and then why TV?
I became a therapist. I went to Emerson College, and I was a journalism major. My focus was print journalism and photography, and then my kind of sub-focus in mass communications became television journalism. And I did a story for my final project about rape on college campuses. And I interviewed 4 women who had been acquaintance raped by this one guy who was going to be getting out of prison and would have access to the campus, and the school had not spoken about it publicly. Berkeley. And so nobody knew, and this kid was going to have access to the campus. So I interviewed these 4 women. 2 of them said I could use the interviews for the school paper. And I became obsessed with the topic. I started doing all this research, and people didn't talk about acquaintance rape or date rape then.
Oh, not back then.
It was, it was long before anyone even had a vernacular for it. And as I started to do this research and talk to people, word got out that I was doing the story. It spread like wildfire. People were coming out of the woodworks. Women were coming, my bosses, my teachers, other students, to tell me about their experiences.
Wow, that's great.
And I felt like I had to do something. I ended up doing this big story. It was the Boston Globe picked it up. It ended up changing campus policy in terms of date rape, and it was a huge story. It was life-changing for me. And as I was doing this research, I felt like I had to do something. I come from a real advocate kind of background. My parents, I was always marching for something, and especially women's rights. And so I felt like I had to do something. And Emerson has an LA program, and my last semester I did the LA program, and I volunteered to work for the Los Angeles Commission on Assaults Against Women as a rape and domestic violence counselor. I went through about 60 hours of intensive training, and then I started to do the work. And as soon as I started doing the training, I knew I had found my calling, and I was like, I need to be a therapist. And I applied for grad school for my master's program, and I ended up working for them. I volunteered for 2 years. I did the Monday night shift. You get a 4-hour shift, and also what you do is you do accompaniments, and accompaniments are where you go to hospitals and police stations after a woman has been raped, and you accompany them through the whole process. And so I did a lot of those. It was an amazing experience. I was with a young woman when she told her father she had been raped. I was with her when she was with the police and they took her back to the site where she had been abducted. I literally held the hands of women while they had rape exams. I mean, it was the most amazing experience. The last one I ever did was with a woman who had been a homeless woman who had been gang raped, and I visited her in the hospital, and it was an amazing experience. And she kept saying to me, she said, "You look like an angel, you look like an angel," and she ended up passing away shortly after. I mean, it was just, it was intense work, and it also trained me because it was a hotline, and you didn't know how long you had with these people. You might have 1 minute. Sometimes you get a call from someone hiding in a closet. My husband's just hit me, or like you just never knew what was going to be on the other end of the line when you picked up the phone.
What amazing.
So it was amazing experience, amazing training. And then I applied for grad school. I started in grad school, and I was in a class about eating disorders. And I was very outspoken. I was already in recovery by then. And I talked a lot about my experiences, and the teacher was being interviewed by, I don't know if you remember her, you probably will, Sheila, Winnie King, Dr. Winnie King from Channel 2 Action News.
Yes,
do you remember her?
I remember her.
And so the teacher invited me to come and speak. She's like, you have a lot of opinions, and they want other kind of therapists, people who have experience in this. So she invited me and another classmate, and we went. They ended up using a lot of my footage, and it hit me. Instead of being with one person in my office and making a difference with one person, I could potentially make a difference in the lives of millions of people. I was like, wow, like that's powerful stuff.
Right. And even back then with TV, people watched TV, but you didn't know what impact was happening.
Yeah.
And for you to have that foresight or that insight, it's like...
It was before Dr. Phil.
Right,
it was before social media. I mean, it was a long time ago.
Yeah.
And so I did that. And then I had a friend who had a book out about the non-diet approach, and which, as you know, I'm a big advocate of. And she's a nutritionist, and she asked me to come on a show to talk about kind of the psychological aspects. And I got a lot of very positive feedback. And I just started doing more and more of those. I started to get calls from producers. And then one day I get a call from Harvey Levin.
Our friend Harvey.
And he says, I am casting a show called We Need Professional Help on USA Network. And we've already cast 2 therapists, a male therapist, an African-American female. We want a young woman. And at the time I was young, it was a long time ago.
Remember those
and
times?
they brought me in, and it was Harvey and Lisa Gregorish Dempsey. And they auditioned me, and I did an audition. And the premise of the show was that they had two people who would come in. It could be like a brother and a sister, or a husband and a wife, roommates, whatever it was, who had a conflict. They would basically present their issue to the panel of therapists. Then one person would leave, one person would tell their story, they would switch, and then they'd come back, and then the therapist would tell them whether to stay together or break up. And
that was the beginning of reality TV.
Yeah. And then they were given like $2,000 towards therapy or a moving van or a lawyer or whatever it was. So we went and I did the audition, and it went really well. I got a call back, and then they said, you know, we really like you. And Harvey pulled me aside, and I'll never forget this because I owe Harvey my career. Okay. Harvey pulled me aside, and Harvey said, you have to do this. He said, you are so good, you have to pursue this, and you need to get someone to represent you so that you get representation. I didn't even know there was representation for this. You know,
people, you can have people.
Yeah, this is before, again, this is before Dr. Phil. This is before, right. And I was like, okay, great. So then I went and I got a manager, and I started to really pursue it on a whole other level. And you know me, I pound the pavement. Like I've always worked very, very hard and made the phone calls and
back during that time, I mean, just, you know, for just talking in general with women that are experts, entrepreneurs, you know, we all were sort of coming up at the same time in whatever career we were doing, and we had to do a lot of that work ourselves.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like, I mean, I, you know, called, and you know me, like I've maintained the relationships, like, you know, because look, the entertainment's a relationship oriented business, and you know, and also you do meet really great people working in this business.
And it is all about relationships. I always tell that to Tim. It's like, you know, from being a talent agent, going way back, just to even being on the road.
Absolutely.
Phyllis Diller, she was one that taught me, Miss Diller, about keeping in contact with people. But we could go on and on about all of our past. But no, but breaking into reality, or just breaking into TV is, you know, your story. So Harvey is the guy.
Yeah, I owe my career to Harvey Levin. And it, you know, like I adore Harvey, and you know, one of his guys, Van, who works, he was like, I think you and I are the only people who just love Harvey. Everybody else has a negative Harvey story, but like we love Harvey. I owe him. Like I would do anything for him.
So how did, you know, Tim and I are so excited about asking you, you know, how did couples therapy come about? You know, was this your idea? Because our listeners out there, a lot of them want to know if they're experts, whether they're a doctor or a fitness expert or a therapist like you know, how do you do it? So was this your baby, your brainchild?
It was not. It was the brainchild of Damian Sullivan, who's my executive producer. Damian created Celebrity Rehab.
Got it.
And he created this. And I got a call one day on my voicemail at the office. And it was him, and he said, I'll never forget it, he said, you know, hey, my name is Damian Sullivan. I'm the creator of Celebrity Rehab. I'm doing this new show. It's about couples therapy and celebrities. I've admired your work for many years. I've always wanted to work with you, and I have this project that I think could be a great one. Would you be willing to come in and audition?
Had you worked with celebrity clients before?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot. Yeah. So I come from an entertainment industry family. I have a practice in Beverly Hills, so I had a lot of experience being around celebrities, working with celebrities. So for me, it was easy.
Good fit, yeah.
Right, and I thought it was interesting too to have it be celebrity couples, but that was a big trend. Well, it still is a big trend right now, celebrities being on TV.
Yeah.
You know, on the reality shows. But Damian's great, and
he's amazing.
He's
a genius.
Andy Shearer?
Andy Shearer was on this last season.
Okay. Yeah. Andy and I go way back.
Adore Andy. God. He's fantastic.
So that's how it started.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's fascinating to watch.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we want to know a little bit about how difficult is it? You know, because you're doing therapy. You have 5 couples, five.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, therapy in its sense is stressful, intense.
Yes.
How do you get through a shooting schedule? How do you get through these 10, 12 weeks?
It is intense. It's really intense. It's about 3 weeks long that we are there together. The celebrities live in the house. I am there, 20 hours a day. I don't sleep there, but I'm usually there till midnight, and I'm there early in the morning to get briefed and then do the first group. It is an amazing experience. It is a grueling experience. It is an intense experience, but as a therapist, it is a dream come true. Because it is, first of all, one of the great things about Damian. When I went in for that original interview, he said to me, he said, I will never interrupt you doing therapy. I have too much respect for the therapy process. And I had just come off of a show that I had done, a pilot, where the executive producer kept interrupting me. And I thought, wow, this is something new. And he said to me, we never create drama. We never create story. We never alter this. We just shoot what happens. And I respect therapy, and I want to see what happens. And it was like, this is for me. And he has always kept that promise. And,
well, you can see that because we've been doing, I've been doing reality since day one, and that drives me crazy.
Yeah,
when there's too much manipulation and it's scripted and
there is nothing.
And you can tell, this is why it's unraveling.
Yeah, and it was interesting. I remember season 1, there was a moment where Angelina Pavarnik and Vienna from The Bachelor were in the bathroom together, and they were mic'd, but there wasn't a camera because
you don't want to watch them go to the bathroom.
Limits. Yeah. But they didn't realize that their mics were still on, and one of them, I think it was Vienna, said to Angelina, I think we need to create more drama. And Angelina said to her, I think they actually really just want us to do therapy. And to me, that was like a golden moment, because I was like, they get it. Like, we're not looking to create, and there's no producer whispering in anybody's ear saying like, oh, fight with so-and-so, or so-and-so talk shit about you, or anything like that.
What I found fascinating watching this show is, I'm not sure if this is an actual production decision, but there is a conscious acknowledgement of this fourth wall, and that fourth wall is broken.
Yeah.
And the people who are participating on the show, the cast, your patients, acknowledge the cameras.
Yeah.
There are people who've been in front of cameras before, and they acknowledge this this element. They don't pretend that it doesn't exist.
Yep.
And I think that's a really interesting element for a viewer to see that.
And you can't act like the cameras don't affect people. You can't act like the cameras aren't there. I mean, and if you saw, I think it was season 5 with Nikki and Juan Pablo, where Nikki, like, the cameras were driving her crazy, and she was like, and everyone started to get very frustrated with her, like, you agreed to be on a reality TV show, like, why are you complaining about the cameras? But she really struggled with it. And
you defended your team, and you acknowledged producers, and there's one moment where she walks in and Juan Pablo's being interviewed, and she yells at she says something to the producer about taking too long.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. I think that's cool.
Because we really like to present the reality of what is. People sometimes say like, I can be edited to look like something. Like, you will never be edited to look like anything other than who you are. It's a synopsis of what happened, because we can't include everything, because we have 24 hours, 7 days a week for 3 weeks of footage. So it has to be condensed, but it is accurate.
Right. And that part is so fascinating, because to get people to come on and trust you, and I think you said, number one, it's for therapy. Yeah. And they really have to want the therapy. And some of these celebrities want to be on TV too, to help promote whatever they're doing,
or they want the paycheck.
They want the paycheck, and they want to sign up though. But to sign up for therapy. Now, Tim and I were talking about this before, and we were curious, how much are you a part of the casting process? And I think Tim's got a lot of questions he wants to ask about.
What? Very little. Yeah. No, it is, I am told who it is. Like, I'm kind of presented with the information, and if there was someone who I really refused to work with, which has only happened one time, they would hear me, but I really try to be open. And I also feel like if somebody comes to me, kind of the universe is sending them to me because this person needs something, and I need to provide them with that help.
And so once somebody is cast, do you go and do a lot of homework before the show starts shooting?
I have a team of people, a team of producers who do that. I always try to walk the line. I don't want so much information that I'm biased, but I want just enough so that I get a sense of who this person is. Because also, a lot of the time, I don't watch people's shows. Like, I don't have time. I'm very busy. So, it wasn't until I think season 4 that I had anyone on whose show that I had seen or music I had heard or anything like that. So I really try to kind of walk that line. I don't want too much information. And I don't want to be biased.
But there are examples of some that are news stories that you probably can't get away from, like Doug Hutchison and Courtney Stodden.
I had not heard of them before they came
on
the show.
Okay.
Yeah,
oh,
I had not heard of them. Yeah.
But
that's great. That's good because
Yeah.
you start with a fresh slate.
Yeah,
in assessing the situation.
Very much so. Very much so.
And what do you look for in a celebrity couple that want to be on the show? What does your team look for?
You know what? You would have to talk to Robin Roth because she does the casting for the show. But what I look for is a couple that genuinely wants help. And we try to have kind of different kinds of couples. We don't want all reality couples. We don't want all music couples. We try to have different people that have different issues so that it's kind of well-rounded.
Yeah, that makes sense, the different issues, because you can't, otherwise you're doing the same thing.
And different personalities.
Right.
In watching specifically season 5, maybe it was because it was a post-Halloween. I was just so sad. But I have to admit, I got a little choked up at moments because you guys dealt with some pretty heavy issues with. I have his name written down. With Dick Donato's diagnosis being revealed on screen, which I thought was. I don't want to give too much away for people.
You can talk. Okay. It's public information.
Okay, perfect.
Now.
To have a heterosexual man talking about an HIV diagnosis was, I thought, a very important moment.
And he had kept the secret for something like a decade. Like, nobody knew why he left Big Brother. Nobody knew like what happened to him. Nobody, like even his closest of friends did not know he was HIV positive. And also because of that, he was kind of living this kind of false life. And also he thought he had a lot of misinformation because he felt very kind of trapped. And we were able to also bring on experts to the show because he said, like, I'm never going to date. This is my last relationship. I'm done because of this. And I was able to say to him, actually, you don't have to be. You have to disclose this. You have to take certain precautions, but this doesn't have to be your last relationship. And he and I are still in touch, and he actually started dating someone.
Oh, wow.
And it's amazing. He's like, this show changed my life.
Oh, that sounds so refreshing. Yeah,
you have to have such a grasp of such a wide range of issues like that. That's
look, I've been a therapist for 2.5 decades. It's a long time.
You have some skill.
I've been exposed to a lot of different life situations and a lot of different experiences and people, and so you do have to.
But it is that hard thing because even when we're doing our castings, no matter what kind of show, if it's a cooking competition to trying to find your soulmate, this is a deeper issue. They have to bear it all.
Yeah.
Completely uninhibited, which we always ask for. We want you to be completely uninhibited. You got to be yourself. But this is digging deep. Yeah. And things will come out that they've never, obviously said.
And to go back to answer your earlier question about sort of how hard is it to do this show, it is an incredibly emotional, intense experience for all of us. Because I'm in the trenches with everyone, and you also get, and I'm sure you know this because you've experienced it, you're in this reality TV bubble where you kind of have to leave your life and nothing else exists in your world other than this experience that you're having. Wow. It's incredibly bonding. I'm very close with my producers, with my makeup artists, with like all the people who are like my close circle to do this show. Like, they become your best friends. And also the cast members, at the end of season 1, I remember sitting in the room and saying to them, it becomes like the Breakfast Club. Do you remember that movie where it's like, you walked in here and, in the Breakfast Club, they say, you walked in here and you thought that you were, the princess and the jock and the this and the that, but it turned out we're all the same. And it's the same thing. And I said, you came in here, DMX, the rapper, Casey, the reality TV star, like, you all came in here with these perceptions of who you are, but it turned out you all have common experiences. And that season, that cast literally wrapped the show and went on vacation together.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
like
a
it was
great
such a
story.
bonding experience that they all hung out together. They went on Linda's boat together. Like it was an amazing experience. But it is so intense. It is hard for, like, nobody can fully comprehend how intense this experience is.
Well, it's true, because even the cameraman, and you say like your makeup artist, Summer, everybody is involved.
100%.
Now, do you and your team, because I've been through some of this, and before reality, other shows that I've done, like a documentary on domestic violence and all of that, but our whole team would have to have therapy after shooting. Have you guys have your own little therapy, or how does that help? How do you guys help yourself?
I'm in ongoing therapy. Like, I believe that all therapists have a responsibility to really keep their stuff in check. I encourage everyone. Look, I believe in, you hear me say it on the radio show all the time, everybody should have at least 1 year of weekly therapy.
Right.
But look, there are a lot of people, and there are camera guys who've been on the show now for many, many years, who say like, hey, this got me into therapy, or I've learned so much, this has changed my relationship. And look, it is such an amazing group that I work with. I mean, literally, I've had groups that I've done where I look up and the camera guys are crying. Like everybody becomes very attached to the cast. They become very attached to each other. It's an amazingly intimate, intense experience.
I felt your emotion when you brought Jenna to her mother's grave.
Oh God!
I really, that's when I felt yours.
Yeah, no,
that was beautiful.
Like I couldn't stop crying.
Yeah.
I was just so, and I adore her. I have a real soft spot in my heart for her.
Would you say that you have a biggest breakthrough that comes to mind in your experience on this show with a couple or an individual?
I mean, I have to say, there isn't a season where each couple didn't have a major breakthrough. Some of the more memorable ones, I would say, Tretch and his father. For those people who didn't see it, Tretch is a rapper who had been estranged from his father for decades and had always wanted to get back in touch with him. He had a lot of anger. The father abandoned him. A lot of just horrible neglect and abandonment issues, and we were able to track down his father and brought him in, and I did a session with him that was one of the most frustrating sessions ever, where this father just wouldn't own his stuff. He wouldn't take responsibility. He wouldn't, Tretch was so great at staying calm. Look, he's a guy who has a history of some anger issues, of some violence, of some pretty intense stuff. He was so calm and so poised, and he really was so eloquent in the way he spoke to his father, but his father wouldn't own it. His father kind of just wanted to gloss over it and move on, and seemed very sort of caught up in Tretch's celebrity. And,
Sure.
And at a certain point, Tretch said, I'm done. Like, I'm out of here.
We're not going to get any more. Yeah.
God bless you. I'm out of here. And he went to his room, and I sat there with the dad, and I read him the riot act a bit, and then we wrapped the session, and I go to Tretch's room, and I said, look, you have got to mourn the loss of the dad that you had hoped that you would have, that he's not the guy that you were hoping to have this beautiful reunion with. You need to let go. And then I leave, and my producer's like, the father's in the holding room, sobbing his eyes out. You need to come downstairs. Dr. Mike is with him. I come down, and the father's saying, I regret that I handled that session the way I did. I can't believe I did that. I want another chance. Please let me have another chance. So I go back up to Tretch's room, and he's there with Cicely, his girlfriend, and I said, your dad is downstairs. I think you need to talk to him. And he's like, I have nothing to say.
Oh my God, that's
and so Cicely looked at him. I said, Tretch, I think you're going to want to hear this. And Cicely looks at him. She says, I think you need to go. And if Dr. Jenn thinks you should go, there's got to be something significant here. I will be with you. So she comes down, and we go downstairs, and the dad is sobbing, and we're standing there, and he gives Tretch the apology he's waited. I get the goosebumps.
Oh my God, I'm feeling it now.
He gives Tretch the apology he had waited for his entire life. and was sobbing, "Please, can you forgive me? I am so sorry. I wronged you." And the father's sobbing, Tretch is sobbing, I'm sobbing, Dr. Mike is sobbing, Cicely sobbing, the camera guys are sobbing. Like, there was not a dry eye in that room.
You must have been that feeling because you thought that was like, hey, and sometimes that happens. You can't get through to people, and it's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah, and it was such an amazing gift.
Dr. Jenn,
No, that's okay. Go ahead.
What can you tell us? Can you tell us anything about season 6 on VH1, 10 p.m. EST, 7 p.m. PST? I got it right.
And 9 o'clock Central.
And 9 o'clock Central.
Right.
Yeah.
That's tonight for
Because I'm curious, will this cast go on vacation with each other? I don't know.
Yeah, not as much.
Not I was thinking, I'm like, okay.
Yeah, but there are definitely friendships that have been formed, and you can see them on Instagram. But, this was a really amazing season. It was very emotional. It was very intense. It was, every season is unique and different. And every season I kind of go like, what new issue can we have now? Like, how is it even possible? And there's always something new. And one of the great things is that it doesn't matter that they're celebrities. People at home are struggling with the same issues.
Exactly. Relatable.
Yeah. I would say that 80 to 90% of the issues a celebrity struggle with are the same ones everyone struggles with. And then there's a small percentage of stuff that is the paparazzi, the media, people framing you, making you look like you're doing something you're not doing, and fans and that kind of stuff. But really the core stuff is, the trust, parenting, money, power struggles, communication, sex, all that stuff that everybody fights about.
Yeah. And I was going to say, when you were telling the story, and I liked how you said, once he left, I read the Father the Riot Act.
Yeah.
And you gave it to him. So the question to me is, are you the same on camera as you are in your private practice? And are you just, this is it, no holds barred? You're like, lay it on the line?
Yeah. I mean, look, you've known me for a long time. Pretty much the same person in private practice, on TV, and in my personal life. So, when I do couples therapy, because I have only usually, 16 to 21 days with these couples, it's a more intense atmosphere. I have to push harder and faster.
Right.
In my private practice, while I'm very confrontational, I don't sugarcoat things, I can be a little more gentle because we may have years together. Whereas with couples therapy, I've got a finite amount of time and I have to make a difference. And also, some of these couples come in. I mean, look, this season, Jacqueline had filed for divorce from Scott before they came in. They have kids. Like, I have families that are depending on me. Like, I have to push these people, whether they like it or not. I have to make a difference in their lives in a short period of time.
And I'm thinking, as an expert, because a lot of our listeners too, that want to get into TV, do what you do, and have an opportunity, how do you not cross that line, because you are running a business. You started with the business, private practice, and you want to continue that. And so anybody, trying to cross that, into the TV world, how do you protect the ethics and how do you protect your brand?
Sure.
How does that work?
I keep my private practice and my TV life very separate. I don't do TV to get people in my private practice. On the contrary, when people see me on TV, I don't take them in my private practice because I just feel like ethically there's a lot of projection going on. There's a lot of fantasy. There's a lot, it's not pure. And I feel like that's not the right place for that. I've only taken, I think, 2 people who saw me on TV, and it was early on in my career, and it was, I did a segment on 48 Hours about gastric bypass surgery. And because eating disorders is kind of a soft spot for me, there were 2 people who I led in my practice who had horrible experiences with gastric bypass surgery. But I keep them very separate. And, understand that I'm in private practice. There are not many people who came before me who I could call and be like, hey, how do you handle this issue? I've had to kind of make it up as I go along. And I think my boundaries are very clear. At the end of every season of Couples, I always say, I give the cast members my cell phone number and I say, I'm not your friend. I'm your therapist. Once I'm your therapist for life. You can call me. We will never go out to dinner together. We will never go shopping together. We're never going to hang out together. But if you have a crisis, you can call me. And they do. You know, Nick and Shane from season 2, when Shane was rushed to the hospital and literally died on the table, they lost a pregnancy, their baby died, Nick called me and was like, how do I handle this? And he called me, how do I tell Shane that her baby died? How do I do this? They said to him, you need to come in and identify your baby. And he called me and was like, how do I do this? And I talked him through. So it's a therapeutic relationship forever, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, that's good, because that's not easy. You know, it's you have to be very strong. And then how about the mommy side? You know, you're also a mom.
I am. I have twins.
And it's so, you know, do they know mommy's on TV? Well, how old are they now?
They're 9 now.
9. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and I've been on TV their whole lives, so they only know that. And I've been doing couples therapy now since, I auditioned in September of 2011. So I've been doing it for, 4 years now.
Right.
So since they were really little. So yeah, it's kind of, it's all they know, and it's, like they have teachers who are fans of the show. And they're kind of used to it, but I'm very protective of them. I don't post pictures of them where they're identifiable on social media.
Right.
I keep them out of that world.
And how do you balance it all? I mean, that question drives me crazy.
It's incredibly challenging. Incredibly challenging. I do my best. I am not perfect, but I work really hard to try to have that balance. I have great communication with my kids. Also, I love this age. It was hard. The first 3 years almost killed me. The first year in particular, because I was 2 for 2 twins with severe reflux and severe colic. Wow. There was projectile vomiting and screaming like around the clock, and it really, but now, look, what do I do best? I get into people's heads and I have conversations. So that's what I do best with my kids.
Right.
It's challenging, but I have a family to support. I work very hard to support them and to support my family. And so it is, there are times where, it's hard. I'd like to be spending more time with my kids, but I also am lucky I get to do my radio show from home. So literally I'm with them. We have dinner. I go. I get to be in sweatpants. I do my radio show and I walk out, and then I go directly into their room. So it's challenging, but it's, I try. I do my best.
No, wait till they're teenagers.
I'm sure that they will be talking about me in therapy one day.
They had one of the best therapists, their mom.
So, Dr. Jenn, actually now it's time for our segment, Tips with Sheila. This is the moment where Sheila's going to share with us some insider tips about becoming an expert on TV. Feel free to chime in. Before we get started, do you accept Anthem Blue Cross?
I do not. I do not take any insurance.
Asking for a friend.
Yeah.
I was kidding. Thank you.
Well, that's interesting too. Yeah, the whole insurance. Oh God.
Yeah. See, if I accepted insurance, I would spend every day chasing money and not getting
the work done. Right.
So, all my clients submit to their insurance afterwards, and they get reimbursed directly.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Right.
Good to know.
Well, my tips about this, I mean, we talked a little bit about it. If you're, whether you're a fitness expert, a lawyer, a therapist, my God, there's a million of fashion expert, whatever out there, and trying to get into the reality TV business. What, I guess I have to tell you what my tips are first. Let's see. Well, first of all, I would say, timing is everything, right? You have to be the right time, and also, where are you in your career? Have you done local talk shows? Are you well known? That type of thing. And then at what point do you need a team? Like you talked a little bit about that earlier. Do you need an agent, a manager, the PR person, this, where do you think the step is from going from A to B?
Well, I think that in this day and age now, because reality TV is so saturated and there are so many experts out there, most agents won't take you until you have established yourself to a large degree. And so it really is about creating it for yourself for the first few years. So, and also the truth is, you want to do two things. One is you want to hone your craft. and that's even before you get on TV. To truly be an expert, you need to be educated, you need to be knowledgeable, you need to really be, you want to be obsessed with what you do and to know it backwards and forwards. Then it's time to get on TV. And then it's a matter of honing your craft in terms of becoming comfortable on camera, learning how to do interviews, learning, all that sort of stuff. And that's an art in and of itself. And the only way to get that is experience.
Right. And I agree. I mean, that number one, be unique, be the expert, know it inside and out. Because then someone's going to call upon you. We want the best of the best when we pick people for TV, as obviously. So that is a good one. And then, of course, when you're trying to find, and you have to do the work yourself. Get out there and do local stuff and speak in front of organizations and just get that attention. And on the internet, your website, make sure it's professional. Make sure you're showing the different things that you've done. Then the agents, casting people, managers, they'll find you.
And also at the beginning, be willing to work for free.
Yes.
I mean,
that's
I
a good one.
can't tell you how many hours and hours and hours and hours of free work I did to hone my craft. I had a show. I had a segment on the KEYT News in Santa Barbara for a long time. I literally would drive down, spend the night at a hotel that I had to pay for overnight. There was no hair and makeup person. My makeup person at the time taught me how to do my makeup. My hair person taught my husband how to put my hair in hot rollers. And literally at 3:00 in the morning, he put my hair in hot rollers. I would do my makeup. We would drive to the station and I would do the segment and I got paid nothing. Right. But it was great experience. It really kind of helped me take my game up and also learn how to do this kind of work, which is very different than reality TV, where you're sitting at a desk and you're talking about a topic, and you want to get as much experience as possible, and don't be a prima donna.
Right. See, that's great, because most people think, hey, look at how easy this is. Well, the reason why we make it look easy, why you make it look easy, is because of all the hard work and dedication. And you know what? You're not going to get that big paycheck right away. It takes a lot of time. I'm so glad that you definitely, reiterated
many years.
Right, to make it work. And to be good, because you don't want to be on for 2 minutes and then all of a sudden your career's over. Yeah. And that's what happened to people that do not have that, to back it up, the credibility.
And I see too many people, and I'm sure you see this constantly, who just want to be famous, who haven't even finished their degrees, who haven't gotten licensed, who are like, I want to be on TV. Well, you know what? Hone your craft first. Become a therapist, spend years practicing, know your stuff.
Right, because once TV hits, you're on the spot, and like you said, you have a very short window to make it work. Yep. And so that only comes from repetition, knowing, and the experience, that gut instinct. So those are our combined tips. We kind of did that together. Thank you. Yeah. So basically, to recap, it's as an expert, really make sure you know your craft. Be good at it, know it inside and out, and feel comfortable and confident. Yeah. Number 2, put in the hard work. Yeah. You're not going to get an agent and a manager and somebody to do everything for you. You're going to have to do it yourself. Get on every type of show, speak in front of a million different audiences, and then make yourself known. But you do have to have that uniqueness. It's something that you stand out for. Sure. And then, timing is everything, and check the castings,
And these days, try to get video footage of any speaking engagements that you do, or if you have spots on TV, because you can build your own reel. A lot of people look for that these days.
My God, everything is visual now. Yeah, you have to be able to do that. So, yes, thank you so much. Thank you for joining us. This was, we could go on and on and on forever. But, let's not forget, what is coming up? We forgot to ask you what is coming up.
A few things. Well, right now, we have more episodes of Couples Therapy with Dr. Jenn on VH1 Wednesday nights, 10 o'clock East Coast, West Coast, 9 o'clock Central. In January, I have a new show on VH1 called Family Therapy with Dr. Jenn.
Wow.
5 celebrity families in a house with me doing intensive therapy.
Oh my God, celebrity families too?
Yeah. Do you want to know who they are?
Yes, can you tell us?
Michael and Dina Lohan. Bam Margera from Jackass and his mom, April. Right. Tiffany, known as New York, Tiffany Pollard, and her mother, Sister Patterson. Okay. Brittany and Brianna from Teen Mom. and Damon Dash and his 2 brothers.
Oh my God, this is it. Breaking news on Breaking Into Reality from Dr. Jenn. Oh my
That is
God.
amazing.
It is the most aggressive, intense group I've ever worked with. Ever.
Now, have you already shot this?
We've already shot it.
Oh,
and it was unbelievably intense, incredibly emotional, and they're not words to describe. You know, on couples therapy, you're dealing with people who have hurt each other, and we do, you know, every year we do our family trauma group, and people talk about what it was that traumatized them, that makes them act the way they do in their relationship.
Right.
Family therapy, we're going straight to the trauma. The trauma is in the room.
It's in the room.
you.
It's right there.
Yeah, I mean, it's intense.
Oh my God,
It's
congratulations.
intense.
Well,
Thank
we
you.
can't wait to watch.
So
We're going to...
Yeah, so I have that. I have my show on Sirius XM, the Dr. Jenn Show, and that's every night, 7 to 9 on the West Coast, 10 to midnight on the East Coast, and it's all call-in advice. Anyone calling, you don't have to subscribe. If you want advice, you can call in. I'm also working on my next book, which is a relationship book, which I'm very excited about. That's going to be released fall of next year. And I also have an app called No More Diets. It's based on my doctoral dissertation.
Oh my God, that's fun. You just never cease to amaze me. It's great. And on your radio show with Maria Menounos is now one of
It's
your...
also on Stars.
On Stars, so we love it, all in the family.
Yeah.
But again, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
And we'll have you back for family therapy too.
I would
love
love
it. And thank you to everyone for checking into Breaking Into Reality TV. Don't forget to find out if you're the next reality TV star with us on breakingintoreality.com. Okay, bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.